Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be pruning my avatar grove. My Eastern White Cedar forest is really overgrown. So I'm going to do a lot of pruning today on all the trees. I've done a lot of videos pruning this forest in the past. So this will be more of a kind of before and after type video, because I think the pruning is going to take me most of the afternoon and maybe even into the evening. So yeah, this is the before, really wild and overgrown, and you'll see the after shortly. I was at the thrift store the other day and I found a marble pot. Has no hole in the bottom, but I can drill one, and some cement statues, and they're holding a pot. I could put a little accent plant in there and it could be like my companion planting for a show. All right, I'm ready to begin the pruning, so here I go. I'm going to start by doing sort of a general reduction of the branches, taking them back to the first set of fronds, kind of reducing everything back, and then I'll step back and have a look at the overall forest and decide, you know, if I have to change heights of trees, take branches off, prune things back further, and that kind of thing. This forest has grown really wild and long. Like, look at some of these shoots, they're just huge. Yeah, so I've got a lot of decision making to go in this forest. Very interesting. I don't know what it'll look like in the end, but at least it'll be a little more compact. My neighbor is setting up for their 50th birthday party tonight, so there's going to be a live band, so this place is going to be really rocking in a few more hours, I think. Well, there's the instruments setting up now. Yeah, it'll be quite a party, I think. I'm pruning away at the forest, and one thing I'm liking, I'm pruning the front trees first, thinning them out, trying to get individual trees rather than just a mass of foliage. But I'm really liking the dense forest in the background. So I think I'm going to try and keep the trees individual up front, and maybe as I get towards the back, try and keep that density. So it looks like a forest that just kind of disappears in the distance. So you can kind of only see so far into the forest, because I've got a lot of layers of trees. I got my front ones, mid ones, back ones, and even some at the very back of the planting. I'll show you that. Here's the back of the forest, and you can see I have a lot of trees kind of growing out the back of the hill here that kind of come up to create even more depth. So they're actually sticking out further than the pot. And it creates all these layers of trees, which I really like. It's the end of day one of working on my Thuja occidentalis forest. I have made good progress in the avatar grove. I've got a lot pruned off. A lot of the trees have been worked on. I haven't even touched the main tree yet. And a lot of the ones in here still have a lot of pruning to go on them. It's a big job, but making progress. I'll continue in day two. I am back for day two of working on my avatar grove. Today is also Succulent Sunday, so I brought out a little succulent accent plant, and I'm going to begin today by pruning that up. This little group of jades was given to me by Matt, and I used it in the last Toronto Bonsai show as an accent plant to my Sarissa. Alright, so I'm going to start pruning it up. I'm going to look and see what overall shape I want and where the front of this planting is. Oh, it just tipped over. It's a little top heavy. If I have this as the front, I've got this tree in the back, one right forward here, and one forward on the left-hand side. I don't know about that. Here, sort of the central planting is forward, so I think that's better, and then keep these two as sort of background trees. So I'm going to begin pruning. The main tree, which will be this one, has a branch coming out front, so I need to prune that back first. And I'm going to go quite short with it. I think I'm going to prune it right here. So here I go. Like that. And these are cuttings off of Connor's giant jades, so they're pretty cool. The ones on the outside, I think I'm going to go right here. Pruning it off very short. This one right here. The back one, I'm going to go here. And then the main tree, I think right here, keeping it a little taller. So there we go. Here's a look at the little jade cutting now. So I think once, new branches start growing in after the pruning, I think it'll look a little fuller and it'll look really, really nice. And I think, it'll look really nice in time for the fall bonsai shows. It's back to work on pruning up the avatar grove now. So here I go. We were due for rain this morning, but we didn't get any. But now, looks like it's kind of clouding over. We might get some this afternoon. It has started to rain now, just really lightly, so I'll continue pruning out here. If the rain gets heavy, then maybe I'll have to head indoors. I'm starting to get into, a bit of the styling on the trees. These ones out front, trying to get the branches looking nice, cleaning out the structure, lightening the trees up a bit more. So I think it's coming along. And again, trying to keep the trees at the back a little more dense. The rain has stopped, so I can get back to work on the forest. Here is a progress report. I'm working on the left-hand side here now. So I'm getting this group of trees out front are looking really nice. Yeah, I'm really happy with those. I had to put a rock under this one to kind of prop it up more vertical. It was a bit leaning. There's a few trees in here that could be a little more vertical. But I've noticed that, some of these trees start out really, really twisty, and they're sort of straightening out a bit. They're, not looking like tall, old growth trees, but they're certainly smoothing out. And, I think, the mix of the straight ones in here and the more twisty ones will make a nice composition in the end. I think it'll look quite natural. I think if they're all straight, it would look it'd look all right, but I think it'll look even better. Some of these twisty ones, as they thicken up, they'll have a little more character to them. As long as I get the main apexes of them going vertical, I think it'll look quite nice. I'm starting to prune the main tree in the forest, so I'm kind of making it sparse, compact, keeping my vertical leader horizontal branches coming off of it. So I've got that branch done. This one almost done. I started on this one. So yeah, just separating them all, minimizing the foliage to make the tree look large and ancient. So it'll be a lot of work coming on this forest, both in the main tree, and I still got a lot of work to do around the back. So yeah, I'll do what I can today, but it may be, you know, this is going to be a 3 or maybe even 4 day pruning process. I find with the forest, the more you prune them, the more you can see inside the forest and make decisions. So at first it's really hard. It's just like a bush. But as you start to open it up, just slowly pruning away the branches, you get a good feel for the structure of the trees, and you can really, really refine it. I have been pruning a lot off of the main tree in the forest, but you can see now it's opening it up. You can see the trunk behind here. Yeah, it's looking much, much older. So I still have a long way to go. Look at all this bushiness here. So I'll keep at it. It's I'm very excited about this. I love pruning this tree up. Some of these cuts in this upper part of the canopy are big. I'm taking out like pieces like that in order to, you know, keep the tree slimmer, the foliage more compact to the trunk line, and to thin it out. So yeah, there's been some pretty big cuts in here. Still more to go. I'm starting to get some nice sunshine on the forest. Very cool. I like that. I have finished pruning up the main tree, the old growth cedar. Boy, did I take a lot of big cuts. I had to clean out a whole bunch, making the tree more compact. Yeah, there was like huge branch after huge branch after huge branch coming off. Wow. Yeah, you can see some of the branches. They're just absolutely huge. So yeah, it's much, much more compact. It's nice and airy now. I can see all the branches. There's a lot more light that comes down below to the forest floor. So I still got a lot of work to go on this forest. You can see how congested it is. It is in back here. It's just thick still. So I'll keep going. I'll go back to the forest trees now. Now that the main tree is done, at least for round one. There may be a few finishing touches to do on it, pinching and things, but basically I think the structural pruning's done on the main tree. I've finished my pruning for today. I've got all the trees pruned up, so they're looking pretty good. One thing that would really help this forest would be to get all these trees vertical. They're all kind of splaying out a bit. So that'll come with the next repotting, and that might come, you know, this spring, I think. There's a couple of things I don't really like about this forest. I think I need another tree up front here just to give it a bit of depth. I've got, you know, trees in the front here, but you kind of have a clear view of the main trunk. I would like maybe a few more vertical trees to kind of densify the forest. I think there's plenty at the back, but just out front there, I think it's just too, you're looking right on the hill instead of in a forest. So if you imagine, let me just stick this in the soil here. You know, something like that. I think that would look better. It needs a tree right here. Now, I don't really have a tree, but there's a couple possibilities. I could get one from the back. There's a few back here that are almost hidden. Maybe take one of those and repot it out front, or find another Thuja seedling. So yeah, I think, you know, the main tree looks much more like an old growth. And like I said, there'll be tweaking I do on this as I'm you know, looking at it, I'll be doing more pinching. The other thing that was kind of bothering me about the landscape was it's kind of square at the top of the hill here. I think, you know, my forest is asymmetrical, the highest point being in the main tree. So I think I've got to slope my forest floor a bit, this hill here. Or, you know, have it come down like a valley here and then a shallower hill over here. Now a lot of this is just moss here. It's like really, really thick in there. So, yeah, I think that'll improve it, kind of shaping the hill a bit, having the highest point of the hill behind the main tree there. I like this area over here. I think the trees look good. The area over here looks good too. I just think it needs something up front, maybe even 2 trees here. I think that would really improve it, so you're kind of looking in at the forest to see the main tree, so it's not right in your face. Now this bark on these Thujas, it tends to peel. You can see here it's starting to peel off, and it'll leave like a reddish bark behind. And there's nothing you can do about that. It just happens in nature all the time. You'll see it all peeling off the tree. So if I were to show this fall, I would have to peel all this bark off like that and brush the trunk of all this lichen to make it kind of a consistent red color. I've done that before and it looks really good. Yeah, so yeah, if I were going to put this in a show, I'd have to do a lot of landscaping, a lot of cleanup on the trees, and then I really want to get these trees vertical. It just doesn't look old growth if the trees are on an angle. So yeah, that'll come. It's a still, you know, a fairly young planting this. It'll take years and years for it to mature. I'm doing some bark cleaning. Just brushing the lichen off the trunk here. There's a few more strips of bark that are just peeling off. You can see that nice red color beneath. So this red color after cleaning doesn't stay red that long. Once the sun gets to it, it turns more of a brown color. So you'd have to kind of scrub it up before a show, I think, if you wanted that reddish color on it. Okay, I better get back to watering. I've got to water all my trees before the sun sets. It is Succulent Sunday today, so I'll give you an update to the desert rose forest right over here. So everything's coming out into leaf quite nicely now. Looking quite nice, actually. Looking very miniature. Yeah, I think it's cool. It really reminds me of Socotra Island. The giant desert roses. Here's a look at the forest in the sunshine. It was nice to get my avatar grove all pruned up, and that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.